Hey guys, I hope you're doing alright and welcome back to the B1N4G4 channel. And what a race at Abu Dhabi. I mean, of course, it's still not over yet, because obviously Mercedes are doing their protests and all that. But I'm back once again, and this time I'm going to be ranking all of the 2021 F1 drivers as to how well their 2021 season went. So I've organised them in what I believe is championship order. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, let's just get straight on with it. But before we do, I do want to say, if you do go on to enjoy this video, then do be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It would really help me out. Thank you guys ever so much. So anyway, starting off with our championship winner, Max Verstappen. I mean, there's no more words, is there? I mean, Max Verstappen, 25 years of age, and first world champion in the bag. Hopefully, if like Mercedes appeals and all that just get rejected again. Yeah, wow. I mean, world champion. What more can you say? So now I'm going to move swiftly on to Lewis Hamilton. Now, of course, he didn't win the championship this year, on the track at least, and for that reason, I can't put him in wow. Of course, he's had a really amazing season. I feel like the Red Bull was better than the Mercedes, and he was able to capitalize a lot on Verstappen's mistakes, meaning obviously they ended up being level on points coming into Abu Dhabi. But I mean, then again, Verstappen, marvelous last lap, was able to overtake him on new tyres, and I don't think Hamilton lost the championship or like of his own fault. Obviously he got held up by Perez, still managed to maintain 11 seconds to Verstappen. Then Verstappen pitted, and the lap cars between the two leaders were let through, and obviously I feel like, if anything, it's the FIA's fault that Hamilton lost the championship. I feel like if they hadn't intervened, then it would have definitely been his, but alas it's not, so he's just going to stay indecent for now. Valtteri Bottas. Now, the start of the season was
worthy of that last category down there.
But I mean, over the course of the season, he has actually done pretty well. I mean, he only had one race win this season, which is like simply unacceptable considering he's at Mercedes. I mean, to be fair, Perez also only got a victory, but you could argue it's his first season in the Red Bull. For Bottas, it's his fifth, so like he really shouldn't like still be qualifying like below the likes of Leclerc, Norris, Gasly, and yeah, them lots. So for that reason, I'm gonna put him in meh, because he did like sort of redeem himself in the second half of the season. But anyway, onto our other second driver. It's Sergio Perez. Now, Abu Dhabi, he had a masterclass defense. He obviously also got that race win in Azerbaijan, and overall I think he's been a better wingman to Verstappen than Bottas was to Hamilton. So for that reason, I'm going to put him in decent. He hasn't done much to like really wow us yet at Red Bull, but I feel like that time will come, because he's definitely adjusted to the car much better than either Alex Albon or Pierre Gasly did. So yeah, that's definitely good to see, and he's obviously been retained, so I'm sure Helmut Marko didn't do that for no particular reason. Anyway, on to Carlos Sainz. Again, I'd put him in decent. Like, he has had like some wow moments, like podiums in Abu Dhabi and Monaco, etc. But I mean, overall, he's had like a relatively quiet season. I mean, he did end up finishing best of the rest in the championship, and I do have to give that to him. So yeah, I'm gonna put him in decent. He's had a pretty solid season, and it's his first year at Ferrari, and he's already beaten Charles Leclerc, and that's also pretty solid. Onto his former teammate Lando Norris. Now, I mean, Lando, the start of the season was amazing for him. I mean, 3 podiums, I believe, but then after that, the McLaren in general just started to fall off. I mean, the last couple races, they were scoring next to no points. For that reason, I'm not going to put him in decent, because I don't think he was in the same league as Carlos. But I'm going to put him in meh, because yeah, he had some good performances, but then just sort of fell off. Like basically a reverse version of what happened to Bottas. So yeah, but I'm sure he'll bounce back because I mean it's Lando. Anyway, on to Leclerc. Now Leclerc, I feel like his main wows have been in qualifying because he's been getting a lot of P3s and P4s in quali, but then in the race he hasn't really been that far up the order, which is obviously why Sainz ended up being ahead of him. So like again, I'm gonna put him in meh, because I mean,
it was meh, wasn't it?
on to the last of this sort of best of the rest championship fights. Daniel Ricciardo. Now, we had some pretty high expectations for him, and after Italy, I thought it was gonna be like a turnaround for him, but I mean, evidently not. I mean, if it wasn't for that win, he'd be down here. But I'm gonna put him in kind of bad, because I mean, he obviously got that win, but he's also been knocked out in Q2. He's been like way off the pace of his teammates, and again, you could argue it's his first season in the McLaren, but then Daniel Ricciardo is a proven, 9-time race winner at this point, and I feel like with all that experience, he should definitely be at least like within a couple tenths of Lando. Alas, he isn't. Again, I do hope he'll bounce back, because I mean, his time at Red Bull showed that he really was championship material if it wasn't for the two Mercedes cars. Anyway, on to Pierre Gasly, and I mean, it's kind of here, isn't it? Like, again, his qualifying has been amazing, like Leclerc, but his race pace isn't really the best. I mean, for that reason, I would put him in meh, but then you have to remember, Leclerc's in a Ferrari, he's in AlphaTauri, so I'm going to put him in decent, because, I mean, I feel like that's a good place to put him, because, like, he obviously had a podium at some point, yeah, he did have a podium. I'm not sure what the race was exactly, but he did, and so yeah, I guess that was basically a standout before. Oh yeah, was it Azerbaijan, was it not? Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was basically a standout performance, I guess. So yeah, I'll keep him decent for now. Fernando Alonso. Now, obviously, it was his return to F1, and in my opinion, I think he's still got it. I mean, he's nowhere near 2005, 2006 Fernando, but he's definitely like still able to compete at the top. I mean, we saw how he defended tremendously well from Hamilton at Hungary to give Ocon the win. So yeah, I'm gonna put him in meh, because I mean, he didn't actually have. I mean, he obviously got the podium, but then after that, I mean, like, it was just meh, wasn't it? Because like he had like a relatively quiet season aside from the podium and the fight with Hamilton. So for that reason, I'll just keep him meh again. Ocon, I mean, because of that Hungary win, I'm really like, I really want to put him in wow, but, like, aside from the win, again, I don't like see anything else that like really stands out. So I'm being quite harsh, but it's gonna be decent again. I'm putting a lot of drivers here, but I mean, that's just because no one's like gone like literally over the top, but no one's been like terrible either. But that could soon not be true, as we're now on to Sebastian Vettel. I mean, it was a pretty bad season, let's be honest. I mean, he obviously got a podium in Azerbaijan. He got another podium in Hungary, but then was disqualified. But then, like, for the rest of the time, he's just been like out of the points, and like, yeah, I mean, he got like award for like most overtakes of the year, but that would again be down to like not qualifying that well, probably like getting out in Q1 a couple times, and I mean, again, it's not really acceptable for a 4-time world champ. I mean, again, you could say he's coming off the back of his really terrible season and adjusting to a new car, but I mean, again, with that experience also comes like a higher level of expectation. So I mean, I feel like if if he was someone like Sonoda or Latifi, I'd give him a bit more leniency. But because of the weight of those 4 championships, I feel like he definitely should have done better this season. So I mean, unfortunately, he's gonna be here. Anyway, onto his teammate Lance Stroll. Now Stroll's had like a relatively quiet season. Like he's definitely not in this sort of area. I mean, I guess I'll just put him in kind of bad because like he hasn't done anything that's like really terrible, but like he hasn't done anything that's like really good either. So yeah, I mean, he's probably had like the quietest season amongst all of the drivers here. So yeah, I mean, what more can you say about him? I mean, Stroll, he's definitely been quite close to Sebastian, and in that respect, that's quite good. But then, by being close to his teammate also means like being down in like something like P13, 14, which of course is not what Aston Martin need, especially since they were like pretty much P3 in the constructors in 2020. So yeah, I do hope for their sake that Aston Martin do bounce back with new regulations and all that. On to Yuki Tsunoda, obviously the only rookie in this season of F1. Now, I feel like Abu Dhabi, he ended the season really well with a solid P4. His radio has been good to listen to. But I mean, apart from that, compared to Gasly, he's not really been up there. But I mean, it's definitely very it's definitely very harsh comparing him to someone like Pierre Gasly. So I mean, for that reason, I'm gonna keep him in meh because he did okay for his first season in F1, and he's being retained by AlphaTauri, and yeah, so I feel like him being retained clearly shows that he's doing something right at least. Now on to George Russell. Now he's probably going to be the second wow of the year. I mean, P2 in Belgium, like I'm so gutted the race did not go on, but the qualifying lap still stands, and in the wet conditions, managing to pull off P2, beating up like the likes of the 2 Mercedes, Ferraris, McLarens, a Red Bull. It's actually just insane. And yeah, he's obviously been scoring more points than he has over 2020 and 2019, and he's definitely been dragging that Williams to places like it doesn't deserve. I mean, at this point, it's been more of a if Russell gets out of Q1, we're all disappointed, because that's how good he's been and consistent. So yeah, for that reason, I'm just gonna put him in wow. I really am excited for what happens over at Mercedes. Now on to Kimi Räikkönen. Now, of course, his last season in F1, and I'm so desperate to put him like up here just because it's his last season, but I'll try not to. I mean, Kimi's had. I mean, it's been like a mess season. It's been the most Kimi type season ever, because nothing's really happened, has it? I mean, I feel like because we're like putting a lot of drivers here, I'm gonna have to put him in kind of bad, because I mean, it just seemed like a sort of cool down season for him before the end of his career, because like obviously it was quite clear he sort of wasn't really into it the same way Giovinazzi was, because at least Giovinazzi was like at the end of the season at least consistently getting out of Q1, whereas Kimi was just sort of staying in the same place the whole season. Yeah, same old Kimi. So I'll put him in kind of bad, because I mean it wasn't terrible because it's the Alfa Romeo and you can't really go worse, if you get what I'm saying. But yeah, it was, you know, it was kind of bad, if I'm honest. Nicholas Latifi, like again, now he probably doesn't have the excuse that he is a rookie, and he's done all right. I mean, he did score his point. He did score points, a few points at least. And again, like it's like Kimi. He's had a relatively quiet season. I mean, he pretty much did hand Verstappen the championship, but I mean that was because of a crash. So I'll put him in the same tier as Kimi, because like it hasn't really been like amazing like those in like meh, decent, and wow, but it hasn't been terrible like Vettel's season. Sorry, Vettel. Now then, Italian Jesus or Antonio Giovinazzi. Of course, he's going to be leaving F1, which is pretty sad. And he's had like a meh season. I feel like all of Antonio's season have been meh, because like he hasn't like dragged that car all the way up to like a podium, but he hasn't like been terrible either. I mean, he's been like getting into Q2 quite a lot in the last few races of the season. Of course, that doesn't equate to points necessarily, but still, I mean, I feel like it was a meh season for him to end off on, basically like all of his other seasons. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, Mick Schumacher, I mean, it's the Haas. Like, what more can you say? I'm gonna put him in decent, because he's had a decent season in F1. He's obviously been in the Haas, so like getting out of Q1 is a real struggle, but he managed to do it twice. I mean, the first time he crashed, so he didn't get to actually do Q2, but I mean, still, the lap time stands, as it did for Russell. And of course, we saw in Hungary, he had that really nice defense against Verstappen. I mean, Verstappen did like, or rather did not have half of his barge boards, but still, I mean, the fight was there, and like you can definitely tell that he is worthy of a seat at somewhere like Ferrari in the coming seasons. And yeah, and that leaves us with Nikita Mazepin. Now, I'm gonna try and leave like my bias aside, and put him like rank him purely based on results. But then even by doing that, it's still here, because I mean, it's just been last places, hasn't it? I mean, he's been like quite dangerous on track, as we've seen in like practice and quali sessions, like really getting in the way of the other drivers. In races, he's been like fighting his teammates a lot, but even then, those are quite dangerous. I mean, we see a lot that they almost come together, or really do come together. You could argue Mick has caused more damage to the car than Nikita has, but on the flip side, Mick's been like actually performing much better than Nikita, and I mean, yeah, there's not really much else to say, I guess, for the Russian. But I mean, anyway guys, that's like a pretty dull note to end on, but I guess that is it for today's video. If you did enjoy, then be sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel. I've been B144. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.